You have spent years looking for the one haircut that finally works with your fine, thinning hair. And somehow, every time you leave the salon, something still feels off. The volume disappears by noon. The cut flattens out in the mirror. And you find yourself wondering if this is just what hair looks like now. It is not. The problem is not your hair. The problem is that most hairstylists are still recommending cuts that were designed for thick, youthful hair. And those cuts are actively working against you. That ends today. Let me tell you something nobody in the beauty world talks about openly. Fine, thinning hair over 60 is not a limitation. It is actually one of the most versatile hair types there is. When it is cut correctly, the wrong cut can crush what little volume you have left and make your hair look sparse, wispy, and shapeless. But the right cut creates the illusion of fullness, lifts the face, and makes you look like you just stepped out of a high-end salon. There are 3 specific short hairstyles in 2026 that are doing this for women exactly like you. And we are going through all 3 of them today. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and youth-boosting fixes for mature women, so you get simple, proven transformations that work instantly. Today we are covering 3 stunning short hairstyles for fine, thinning hair. And by part 3, you will want to pause this video, pick up your phone, and call your salon. I mean it. Part 1 gives you the cut that adds the most visible volume of anything working right now. Part 2 reveals the style that is taking 10 years off faces across social media this year. And Part 3 shows you the one short hairstyle that your stylist has probably never even suggested, and why that is costing you. Plus, I am going to share the one cutting technique that makes fine hair look 3 times thicker without adding a single product. We are also going to talk about what to swap out, what to keep, and the one maintenance habit that preserves your results between appointments. There is a lot here that will surprise you. And the very first hairstyle? It is the one I see women dismissing every single time. And every single time, that is a mistake they regret. Let's go. Part 1. The textured pixie with soft layers. Have you ever walked out of a salon with a haircut that looked perfect in the chair and completely flat by the time you got home? That is not a coincidence. That is a sign that the cut itself was not built for your hair type. And what happened to your volume was not your fault at all. This is the one thing that will stop you from making the same mistake again. Fine, thinning hair loses its shape when it is cut with too much uniformity. Even layers, blunt lines, all one length. These techniques work beautifully on thick hair and quietly destroy fine hair. The reason is simple. Fine hair has almost no natural weight to hold a shape. So when a cut relies on weight and density to create its structure, fine hair has nothing to work with. It collapses. It flattens. It disappears. And you spend the rest of your day patting the top of your head and wondering what happened. The textured pixie with soft layers is the 2026 answer to all of that. This is not your grandmother's pixie. This is not the close-cropped, severe cut that many women over 60 are steered toward when their stylist runs out of ideas. This is a modern, deliberately softened version of the pixie that uses strategic disconnection and point cutting to create texture, volume, and movement where fine hair needs it most. Your stylist uses point cutting, a technique where the scissors go into the ends of the hair at an angle rather than cutting straight across. And this breaks up the line so that each strand moves slightly independently. The result looks fuller, richer, more alive. This one cut changed everything for a friend of mine. She called me 2 days after her appointment to say 3 people had stopped her in the grocery store. The layers in this cut are placed specifically at the crown and the sides, not throughout the entire head. That distinction matters more than most people realize. When you layer the entire head of fine hair, you remove weight you cannot afford to lose and the hair hangs limp. When you layer only the top and sides, you lift those sections while keeping a little density underneath to support them. The crown sits up. The sides have shape. The silhouette looks fuller from every angle. The texture at the nape is kept slightly longer, just enough to give your neck a clean, refined finish. This small detail is what separates a textured pixie that looks chic from one that looks unfinished. And that refinement? It frames your jawline in a way that highlights your natural bone structure instead of hiding it. What to swap? If you are still asking your stylist for a uniform blunt pixie, swap it for a textured disconnected pixie with point-cut ends. If you are asking for all-over layers, swap it for crown-focused layering only. The difference between those two requests is the difference between hair that deflates and hair that holds. Yes, that's specific. The maintenance on this cut is genuinely simple. You are back in the chair every 6 to 8 weeks. Not for a full restyle, just a light trim to keep the texture fresh and the nape clean. A light volumizing mousse at the roots before blow drying is your only daily step. No complicate routine. No product overload. Coming up in part 2, we are looking at the short hairstyle that is quietly becoming the most requested cut for fine hair in 2026. And when you see why, you will completely understand the obsession. Part 2. The voluminous feathered bob. Let me ask you something honestly. When did you last look at your reflection and feel genuinely surprised? In the best possible way. Because the cut we are covering in part 2 is doing that for women right now. Real women over 60 with fine and thinning hair. And the reactions they are getting are not subtle. The voluminous feathered bob has come back in 2026 in a way that is completely different from what most of us remember. This is not the stiff, helmet-shaped feathered bob of the 1970s. This is a reimagined, face-framing version that uses modern feathering techniques to create cascading movement and visible fullness in hair that normally refuses to cooperate. The key difference is where the feathering lives and how far it reaches into the hair. And that difference is everything. Here is the surprising truth about why this cut works so specifically well for fine, thinning hair. Feathering does not just add texture. It redistributes visual weight across the entire silhouette. Instead of your hair sitting flat against your head and showing the scalp in one concentrated area, the feathered layers scatter light, create dimension, and draw the eye across the full shape of the cut. Your hair does not look thicker because you added product. It looks thicker because the cut itself is creating the optical illusion of density. No one can tell it is not real. That is the magic. Honestly, this is the one I wish someone had told me about 3 years ago. The cut itself sits between the chin and the collarbone, shorter in the back, slightly longer toward the front. This reverse graduation lifts the back of the head visually, which is exactly where thinning is most visible. Most women over 60 have the most noticeable thinning at the crown and the back. A cut that adds visual volume right there, at the exact site of the problem, is doing the most important work possible. Your stylist calls this a graduated or stacked back, and combined with feathering through the mid-lengths, it produces a silhouette that looks genuinely full from every angle. The face framing pieces in this cut deserve their own conversation. 2 or 3 longer, gently feathered pieces are left near the cheekbones and swept forward. These pieces draw the eye straight to your eyes, your cheekbones, your natural elegance. They do not compete with your face. They complete it. And for women with fine hair who have been told to keep everything short and tucked back, this tiny addition of forward framing movement is often the single most transformative detail in the entire cut. What to swap? If you are currently wearing a flat, all one-length bob, swap it for a graduated feathered bob with face framing pieces. If your stylist is cutting your bob with shears only, ask specifically for razor feathering or point cutting through the ends. One conversation with your stylist, using those exact words, and you will leave the chair with a completely different result. This is the one that made someone stop mid-conversation and ask what changed. The maintenance here is beautifully low effort. A round brush and a blow dryer with a concentrator nozzle, lifting at the roots as you dry, sets this cut for the entire day. Touch-up visits every 8 weeks to keep the back clean and the feathering fresh. Part 3 is the one I have been waiting to get to. It is the short hairstyle your stylist has almost certainly never suggested. And once you understand why it works, you will not be able to believe you have been going without it. Part 3. The wispy cropped shag. Most stylists will not suggest this cut to you unless you ask for it by name. Not because it does not work. Because it looks complicated on paper, and most salons are playing it safe. But here is what they are not telling you. The wispy cropped shag is, right now in 2026, producing some of the most dramatic volume results on fine thinning hair of any short style available. And it does it without tricks, without extensions, and without a complicated morning routine. You needed to hear this. The cropped shag sits at the jawline or just above it. It uses a combination of curtain bangs or brow skimming fringe, choppy disconnected layers throughout the crown, and deliberately wispy undone ends. That combination sounds chaotic. In practice, it produces something that looks effortlessly full, beautifully lived in, and genuinely youthful without trying too hard. The texture created by the wispy ends means that light catches your hair from multiple angles simultaneously. That is what creates the illusion of density. Not product. Not tools. The structural cut itself is the solution. There is one truth about fine hair and bangs that changes everything once you know it. Fine hair at the front of the face, left long and swept back, pulls focus toward a sparse crown. But fine hair cut into soft curtain bangs or brow-length fringe frames your eyes, fills in the visual gap at the forehead, and immediately draws attention to your most beautiful facial features instead of to the thinning. Your eyes. Your cheekbones. Your bone structure that has always been there. The fringe does not hide your face. It highlights it. That is the opposite of what most women over 60 fear about a fringe. And it is exactly why so many women who try it never go back. The layers in the cropped shag are deliberately uneven. That is not a mistake. That is the technique. Uneven, point-cut layers create separation between individual sections of hair, and that separation makes the hair look like there is significantly more of it than there actually is. Every section catches light slightly differently. Every section moves slightly differently. The eye reads all of that visual activity as volume and fullness. You are not fooling anyone. You are working with the physics of light and how the human eye perceives hair. And it works beautifully. Honestly, this is the cut that I see transforming women who had completely given up on short hair. What to swap? If you are wearing your fine hair swept back and away from your face with no fringe, swap it for soft curtain bangs that just skim the brows. If your current cut has uniform layers all the same length, swap it for a deliberately choppy disconnected shag with wispy point cut ends. These two swaps alone will change how your hair reads in every mirror and in every photograph from this point forward. The maintenance on this shag is genuinely the simplest of all three styles today. Air dry with a small amount of texturizing cream worked through damp ends, scrunch gently, and you are done. Salon visits every 6 to 8 weeks for a light trim to keep the ends wispy rather than blunt. And those beautiful eyes? They will be the first thing anyone sees. Part 4. The one cutting technique that changes everything. There are 3 stunning short hairstyles sitting in your back pocket right now. But here is what I have not told you yet. And this is the part that ties everything together. The hairstyle itself is only half the answer. The cutting technique your stylist uses is the other half. And most women over 60 with fine thinning hair are never told to ask about it by name. Until now. The technique is called slide cutting. And it is the single most transformative tool available to your stylist for fine hair right now. Slide cutting is a method where the stylist keeps the shears partially closed and glides them along the hair shaft rather than cutting straight across. This motion removes weight gradually and continuously rather than all at once at a single point. The result is a finish that looks naturally grown out, beautifully textured, and full of soft movement. Even in hair that has almost no natural density to work with. Every one of the 3 hairstyles we covered today delivers its best possible result when slide cutting is used as part of the process. This one technique is why 2 women can walk into the same salon, ask for the same style, and leave with completely different results. This is the one nobody talks about. Write it down. Here is something that surprises most women when they first hear it. The frequency of your salon visits matters more for fine thinning hair than for any other hair type. Thick hair can grow out for 12 weeks and still hold its shape reasonably well. Fine hair begins to lose its structure at around the 6-week mark. When a style designed for fine hair grows even half an inch beyond its intended shape, the volume support built into the cut starts to break down. The layers that were creating lift now just add length. The textured ends that were scattering light become heavy and flat. You do not need more product. You need a trim. 6 to 8 weeks is your maintenance window. Book your next appointment before you leave the salon today. That one habit alone will keep your hair looking like it just came from the chair. Because in a very real sense, it always will have. Your bone structure carries this. Your natural elegance has always been here. We are just making sure the world gets to see it every single day. Now for the final piece that brings all 3 styles together. Ask your stylist specifically for a dry cut finish. Most stylists cut hair wet and then dry it to see the final result. But for fine thinning hair, cutting the last half inch of your style on dry hair. After the main cut is done wet, gives your stylist the chance to see exactly how the texture is falling and make precise final adjustments that are invisible when hair is wet. This small request produces a noticeably more polished result. One sentence to your stylist. Massive difference in your mirror. The complete picture is this. One of these 3 hairstyles, cut by a stylist using point cutting, slide cutting, or razor feathering, finished on dry hair, and maintained every 6 to 8 weeks, will produce the most dramatic volume result your fine thinning hair has ever shown. Not someday. Starting at your next appointment. What to swap today? If you are still walking into your salon without a specific cut name or technique request, swap that for a clear, informed conversation. Show your stylist the style. Say the technique name. Ask for the dry finish. You are not asking for more. You are finally asking for exactly the right thing. You just learned 3 stunning short hairstyles designed specifically for fine thinning hair, plus the one cutting technique that makes all 3 work at their absolute best. That is more than most women figure out in years of salon visits. Wear this knowledge with confidence. Those beautiful eyes, that natural elegance, that bone structure. They have always been there. Now your hair is finally going to show up for them. Tell me in the comments, which of these 3 hairstyles are you taking to your salon first? The textured pixie, the feathered bob, or the wispy cropped shag? I want to know. Next time, we are uncovering the one makeup mistake that is adding years to your face, and the fix takes under 60 seconds. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I will see you in the next one.